All right, let's dive into a classic Roman myth, the hunt for Diana's sacred stag. Now, this is way more than just some old adventure story. It's really a powerful lesson about character. The choices we all make, and that timeless battle between virtue and vice that, honestly, still hits home today. So, right from the get-go, the whole story is kicked off by this mysterious prophecy from a priestess, and it all boils down to one word: reverence. That deep, profound respect. That's the key to the entire quest. It's like a big flashing sign telling us, hey, this isn't about muscles or fighting. No, this journey is all about testing someone's inner spirit. So where does our story kick off? Well, it starts in a city that's in total crisis. Something sacred, a really important symbol, has just vanished from ancient Rome. And the fallout? It's immediate and it's devastating for pretty much everyone. And yeah, calamity is absolutely the right word here. We're not talking about some minor inconvenience. The stories describe a massive, society-wide crisis. I mean, the entire natural order has been thrown completely out of whack. And this calamity, it's not some random accident. Nope. It's a direct consequence of the goddess Diana being furious. See, her sacred silver stag, this powerful symbol of purity, it's gone. And her anger, it's being felt all across the land. We're talking crops failing, peace just disappearing. The stakes here are literally divine. So, who's gonna step up and solve this divine mess? This is where we get to the heart of the conflict. We're introduced to two guys, two very different men who are both going to hunt for this stag, but for completely different reasons. And here we go. This is the real heart of the myth. On one side, you've got Marcus. He's our hero, a young hunter who's all about valor and reverence. He just wants to bring peace back. And on the other side, there's Vitus. He's a nobleman, but he's driven by pure greed and malice. It's their clashing motivations that set up that classic epic struggle between good and evil. Now, the quest Marcus takes on, it's described as arduous. And believe me, that's putting it mildly. This whole journey is basically designed to be as difficult and tiring as possible. It's a real test of his will right from the get-go. So, what was Vitus's deal? What made him cause all this chaos? One word: avarice. Pure, unadulterated greed. It's literally his defining trait. The priestess tells us he didn't capture the stag for fame or glory. Oh no, he wanted it for its valuable silver antlers. Just that one selfish act of greed is the single reason for all of Rome's suffering. Okay, so the plot thickens. We head into the forest of shadows. And this is where the hunt really, truly begins. Marcus now has to face off not just against Vitus, but also against this incredibly dangerous forest that Vitus seems to control. Now, here's the thing. Marcus doesn't just go in swinging. He doesn't win with brute force. His real weapon is his mind. He's smart. He carefully makes his way through this treacherous forest. He uses his cunning and guile to outplay his enemy, and this is the best part. He actually uses Vitus's own folly against him. The story really chalks up Marcus's success to his tenacity. I mean, Vitus is throwing all these threats at him, but Marcus just doesn't back down. He doesn't waver for a second. That sheer persistence, that refusal to just give up, that ends up being his greatest weapon. And this is the real turning point. Marcus just calmly looks at him and says it, all while he's luring Vitus right into one of his own traps. It's a brilliant move. It perfectly shows how Vitus's own dumb, reckless greed leads to his own undoing. His obsession with getting what he wants makes him totally predictable. And in the end, that's what makes him so easy to beat. But wait, taking down the bad guy? That's not the end of the story. Not even close. The real climax of this myth isn't some big physical fight. It's something way deeper. It's a moral, a spiritual test for our hero, Marcus. So Marcus finally finds the stag, and it's just glowing, with this incredible light. But there's a problem. Standing right there in his path is the final guardian, a fiercely savage wolf, sent by the goddess Diana herself. So just like that, the fight isn't man versus man anymore. Now it's man versus the divine. So that brings up a really great question, right? You can't beat this wolf with a sword or a clever trap. So how in the world does Marcus get past this final, super fierce obstacle? Well, the answer isn't about fighting. It's about character. Marcus shows amazing fortitude, that's basically courage in the face of pain or trouble, by simply not fighting back. Instead, what does he do? He kneels down. He shows contrition, genuine remorse. And he doesn't just apologize for what Vitus did. He apologizes for all of humanity's greed. And this is so key. He's apologizing for humanity's hubris, that excessive pride, that arrogance. That's exactly what made Vitus think he could get away with stealing from a goddess in the first place. So when Marcus kneels, it's the total opposite of that. It's an incredible act of humility. And guess what? The wolf can tell. It actually senses this in him. It recognizes his rectitude, his moral uprightness, his righteousness. It can see that his intentions are totally pure. And because it's convinced he's a good person, the guardian just steps aside. It lets him pass, so he can finally free the sacred stag. So the stag is free. And that brings us to the end of the story, and more importantly, its big takeaway. Because this was never just about one guy winning a fight. It's about how an entire society was restored, and the kind of legacy and action like that can leave behind. And the ending is just perfect. The stag is returned home, and Diana's kindness, her benevolence, immediately heals the land. Just like that, the crops are growing again, prosperity comes back, and felicity, which is just a fancy word for true happiness, returns to Rome. It was Marcus's reverence that saved everyone. So when you boil it all down, what are the big lessons here? Well, it's all about choosing reverence over arrogance, right? Fortitude over brute force, and moderation over greed. The big takeaway is that being a good person, having rectitude, should be what guides us. And that real bravery, true valor, always needs to be balanced with a little bit of wisdom or prudence. And that whole framework of virtues, that becomes Marcus's legacy. It's the story that gets passed down through the generations. It's that timeless lesson. Respect nature, be humble, and always, always try to choose virtue over vice. Which kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. This ancient story is this powerful warning against being arrogant and greedy. But the real question it leaves us with is, where do we see that same stuff playing out today in our own world? It's a lesson that is just as important now as it was way back in ancient Rome.